I see this beautiful sunshine. Oh gosh.
So can you
Oh
guys see the view
wow.
back there? Yeah, this is our view for the next 4 days. We've been here, I think we're here a total of 12 days that we're here. But we have to
Awesome.
move again on Thursday, but oh, it has been spectacular.
Wow. Congrats.
Thanks.
Well, I've officially started the recording. Welcome to our coaches call of the day. It is October 7th, 2019. Let's start out with our gratitudes. I mean, Penny, you could have that one, or you could have another one. Who knows? Maybe
That is a pretty big one. I'm loving every minute of this.
you've got a butler that's there massaging your feet too, or
That might be too much. That might do me in.
who's up next?
Oh, let's see. It's in the 60s here. I'm still in shorts until next Saturday when the bottom falls out and we're like hitting highs in the 40s or something. So.
Oh boy. Wow.
My feet are cold, but I'm running around barefoot still until I absolutely have to put socks on.
There you go.
So we got bright sun today. I'm waiting for it to move around to the west side of the house, and yeah, so we'll see. Doing well. Got back to yoga this week. That was nice.
Oh, cool.
Well, I've been kayaking on Saturday mornings instead of yoga-ing. So now that it's too cold to kayak, I'm back to yoga. So that's all good.
Excellent. How about you, Carmen? What is your gratitude? What are you grateful for today? Stalled.
Hey, Karen.
Hey.
Karen, what are you grateful for today?
That I'm still sane.
Okay.
My daughter-in-law's, one of her oldest children graduated from basic training, and they went to South Carolina and left me with a 12-year-old, a 10-year-old, and my 16-month-old granddaughter, and 2 7-month-old dogs.
Oh.
So I'm still sane. Everything was great. It was a really good week. I was terrified to begin with, but it was a really good week. I enjoyed spending time with the kids. It was fun. So I'm grateful that I had a really good week in spite of being afraid that I was going to have a really bad week. I brought my food over there, so I lost 4 pounds this week. So
yay!
It's been good. It's been good. Carole, you look tired.
We missed that part.
Sorry.
I got it. I'm at my mom's here. I was in Portland for the weekend and did a comedy show in Vancouver, Washington last night. Got into my mom's really late, about 2 o'clock last night. So
Okay, that explains.
I'm kind of awake. There will be lots of coffee today. Let's see. I'm grateful for a weekend. I guess spent the weekend with my sister, which was really fun, and made a connection. I hope with the conference that I went to. Hopefully, open some kind of a speaking or training window for them. They really need some help with learning about the keto diet for what they were talking about. And let's see. And then I'm spending a couple of days with my mom here, and so I'm grateful for them too. And we had yesterday in Portland, it was like 70 degrees and blue sunny skies. It was amazing. But it's down to, 40s at night already here. So
That's what we're getting too. It's 40s at night. But we're only getting into 60s during the day. So
Carmen's saying that she can hardly hear her. There's a big echo. So Carmen, you probably want to mute your computer then and maybe call in by your phone, the phone number in the invite. There should be a phone number you can call if that's what's going on. Usually means your speakers are too close to your microphone.
What's too close? I'm pushing it away.
Your usually it means your speakers are too close to the microphone. But if you mute, are you on your computer right now?
Yeah, I'm on
Yeah,
laptop.
so mute your laptop and then just call in by your phone.
Okay, where do I find the number? Sorry.
In the email invite that you get, there should be a phone number in that.
Okay. I can hear okay now, but it
That
goes in.
sounds good now. We
Is it
can
fine
hear
now?
you now. Yeah.
Okay.
You want to do your gratitude now then, Carmen?
I'm grateful for being able to hear everyone. I don't know. I don't have much to be grateful for this week. I've been having a really bad week. Let's see. Dog sitting. I'm grateful for the dog that I'm dog sitting. She makes me happy.
Excellent, excellent. Good, good. Shift of mind. There's always, when we're feeling like things aren't going well, then it's a really positive exercise to try and find something we're grateful for, because there's always lots of blessings in our life that we take for granted in those times. So how about you, Cindy? What's happening with you?
Well, hi, everybody. We went from 96 yesterday to the 70s today, so everybody's super happy. This is our first.
Congrats.
Hope. Yeah, it's our first hope for any kind of fall thing. And then thanks to my excellent coaching last week, I am down 2.5 pounds and I have 6 stars.
Wow, Cindy.
That star thing was really helpful.
Isn't that such a great, I love that how this little coaching is so powerful. That's so great.
So it just like a couple times when I was like thinking, oh, I should have X, I was like, but then I wouldn't get a star. So I didn't.
I love it.
So,
And if you guys missed that, yeah, and so we'll do, we'll start out by doing like a little, whatever, recap, or just kind of check in on, for both you and Sharon, how things went too. Just any other things that came up for you after that, the coaching, for those of you that missed it last week. It was really cool because Cindy was like, I don't have anything to work on, and then it was like, this is great. I think we got everybody, right? Yeah. All right, so we do have a new client. Since I'm traveling, I just realized I don't have her intake form that I fill out. It's pinned on my bulletin board at home, but I can run down her info just from memory on the Airtable spreadsheet. We'll do a check-in on the coaching that Sharon and Cindy did. Actually, we did 2 last week. Who was, forgive me, I am tired. who was the other group that we did last week too? So we did Cindy and Sharon, and then
I think I did with Sharon.
okay, Karen and Sharon. Right, Karen? Must have been, because I think that's all we had on there. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
so yeah, it was Sharon was the client
Okay.
for Karen, right?
Mhm.
And then I was the client for Sharon.
Yeah. Okay. Good. With 3 brains, we'll figure this out. Okay, so we'll check in on both of those, and then we should have time for another 1 or 2 practice ones today. Then, oh, I know what we need to check in on. We need to check in on Karen's real first coaching call too. Put that to the, okay, so we'll do, I'll give you an overview of our new client. We'll have Karen talk about how her call went. Then we'll check in on the other 2 practice ones, and then we may have time for another practice one as well. So let's see, our new person is Julie Watts. I put her on Sharon's team. Now, I know that right now that, at least for the fast track people, Cindy and Karen, you guys are each down to only 1. Normally I would balance it and put the new person with somebody who didn't have as many, but on the keto consult with Julie, she said, oh, I really identified with Sharon. She would just brought that up naturally as she watched a bunch of the videos. And
Okay.
so I put her with Sharon just because of that, because she said she really identified with you.
Cool.
So she, again, I'm going by memory, which is really foggy tired this morning. Let's see. She is a lady named Julie. Actually, I think if I look on, oh, I know, I can look in application and that will jar my memory a little bit. So let's do that. And I changed a little bit. About all when you guys came in on board, I had, I don't even remember if I had you guys doing any homework or not, but let me just kind of run down the application process now for people to come on board. So they have to, because some of you have been with me a long time now, they have to fill out an application to work with me, which they put all their info, their health goals, their struggles and things like that, age, and then after a couple of days after that, they get an email that says they're approved to do the keto consult. And the homework that they're required to do before the keto consult is that they have to make a list of the reasons why they want to do this, like what are their goals with this, a list of their obstacles as well, what's been holding them back. I make them watch the my Keto Con talk, which actually gives the 10 rules that I have you guys follow for phase 1. So the Keto Con talk explains what the 10 rules are, why they're so important. And I make them, the required homework is to watch that and then to make a list of which of those would be hard for them to follow, which would be easy for them to follow. And then the final thing is that I have the whole page of video interviews.
Lost ya.
Sorry, I had to call it in there. All the video interviews for any client I've ever worked with, I have all of that on one page, and I ask them to pick at least one to watch. What I found now, because I was having them just watch one specific video, which was with Kristen, and now I have them pick which one of those videos they want to watch. And what happens is they end up watching several of them usually. So I think
nice.
Julie watched quite a few of them, which is good because it actually just then it lets them hear all the different results possible, and from a sales and marketing standpoint, it basically shows them like, look, all these people are getting lots of success. So anyways, okay, so Julie she lives in San Diego. She's 5'4" and 225 currently. Goal weight is about 155 to 160. Last year, I'm gonna remember everything about her now. Last year, she lost 55 pounds following keto on her own in about 6 months. She was just really committed to herself and her health. She's a successful woman who, I can't remember what she does for her work, but she, so she lost, this is actually really heartbreaking. So she lost the 55 pounds, and then the end of last year, the beginning of this year, her husband's health just really turned. He's had type 2 diabetes, and he just was, she said things just rapidly fell apart, quit his job, and he died in February of this year. I didn't say this, but she's 44 years old. And so within just a span of a few months, he got really sick and died. And they've been married for 12 years. And so now she's left with their 2 kids and a stepdaughter, which was his child, to raise on her own. After that, she just, used food to comfort herself and gained all the weight back, or nearly all the weight back. And, she mentioned specific carb foods that were her go-to comfort foods. And so now she's ready to turn things back around, but she says that at this point, she says, I can't even remember what I did last year on keto to lose weight. Like, I can't even remember any of it. And I talked to her about if she'd done through grief counseling or not. And she said that she tried, but the counselor she saw just wanted to talk about herself, and she said that she knew more about the counselor than the counselor knew about me. She says, I knew what she had for breakfast the day I went. It was weird. And so instead what she did, because she said her friends told her, well, you just got to find the right one. But what she ended up doing was the company that she works for is really fantastic, actually. And they'd some time ago done some hired a corporate coach that was working with a lot of the people in the company, and Julie had said that it made a huge transformation for her at that time as well. And so her employer offered to have this coach come back and work with her, like pay for it. And so that's what she did. And she said that it just was so amazing and exactly what she needed at that time. And helped her just go through the things she had to do about, like, because apparently she had to every week call the coroner's office to see if there was an update on his, his death exam. I don't know what it's called, right? So she said the coach just really was what she needed in helping her work through that stuff. But of course, it's not gone. There's still things that are going to be raw for her, and there's no timeline on healing and grief. So she's got a lot writing on all of this, and we got to the point that I felt enough rapport with her. I kind of asked her about, like, is also a worry of hers, being healthy, since she's got so much responsibility and all these kids, these kids now that are all depending on her. And she says, absolutely. So she's got really big whys. She's got a lot of emotional, I don't want to call it baggage, but she's got a lot of emotional, I don't know what's the right word for it. Weight with her, I guess. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah. Any
How
other?
old are the children?
I want to say that they're like 9, 11, and then the stepdaughter's is older. And the way she, I think the stepdaughter's like maybe in her late teens or something, maybe 20s.
Sure.
The way she talked about the kids, though, it was like, my kids and then her or something like that. So she doesn't quite view the stepdaughter as her daughter. I don't know. I can't even imagine what that girl's going through, actually. But anyway, so yeah, she's like her, her kids and then this other kid type of thing. So that's just something I noticed about the way that she talked about her. But yeah, so so for whatever reason, she felt like she identified with, like, Sharon. She said that what she liked about your interview was that you were upbeat and positive, and she just really identified with your energy. And so, yeah. Any other questions about her?
What's her name?
Julie Watts.
Julie Watts.
I added her in a Facebook group, and on Facebook she's Julie O'Connell. But Watts is.
I don't have a welcome email yet.
I got that on Friday, so.
On Friday, let me look for it.
Because or Thursday, it wasn't. Oh man, or even what day did she come on board? The 3rd.
Yeah,
I got it, so I don't know. And let me see.
No, the last one I have for Meet Your Coach is Paul on September 18th. So I haven't gotten my Meet Your Peer Support Coach email yet.
Let's see. I deleted mine already. Let me find it. All right, I'm gonna have to look for that later then.
Okay.
Okay. Put it on my to-do. All right. Next up, Karen. Who did you coach, and tell us, how did it go?
I coached April, who was one of my people.
Okay.
It was okay. You know, I have such confidence in myself. All the things that we
Fantastic.
all the things we practiced were just kind of out the window because her thing was she's trying to lose her last couple pounds.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm like, okay, where do I go from here? But I remembered a couple weeks ago you had talked about increasing protein and decreasing fat. She had stopped tracking, so I had her start tracking again.
Good.
She felt like she was in a good place and she was going to be doing this and then get back to me in a week. So I had issues with my computer and my son's internet, and so I only got a small audio on my tablet. So I actually offered her another free session because I had so many issues. I just didn't think that was fair because we really didn't get 15 minutes, and it wasn't. We logged into the laptops 3 times, and then we ended up in the tablet. So I just thought that wasn't really fair to her. So I offered her another free one. I hope that was okay.
Yeah, I love the customer service on that. Yeah. Did you get a chance to practice with Leticia beforehand, or?
No, I was trying to do it on the tablet, and the video apparently doesn't work on the tablet. So I had my husband bring it with a laptop, and she wasn't on the video anyway, so it was audio from me. The little piece that I had on the laptop was audio from her and video from me, and I forgot to record that. So yeah, there were a lot of little missed things. I did get the recording from my tablet, and it was kind of scary because it was a question that I really had no frame of reference for. But she felt like she told me I was doing fine, and she was happy with what I had told her. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's great. And that's totally normal that the first time, especially all this tech stuff, that like, oh, this stuff doesn't work. So, so, and there's, I have so many stories of all the different tech layers I've worked with where it's like down to the wire and it's like, and this didn't work when it was supposed to. So maybe schedule a practice session with Leticia. So actually schedule a session with her so that you both can get on there and work through all the tech stuff so that you know how to get all that to work. The thing that I would always do to remind myself to record anything was like I would put a Post-it note like right on the middle of my computer, so that I couldn't miss it. And that way and after you do it a while, you'll start to remember, but in the beginning it's like usually the thing you forget. So I found some way to like make sure that I didn't forget to do that. And sometimes you can even just tell the person like, remind me to turn on the recording, because then they'll help remind you as well too. So yeah, so I think that'll help give you some comfort in how to navigate that and practice with it, and we can figure out all the unique idiosyncrasies of that conference call platform. So yeah, and it sounds like, I did the what's it called, the troubleshooting guide. Did you see that, Karen? I showed that last week where I showed like, if you're not losing weight, here's what to do.
Yeah, I didn't have all of my stuff because I didn't find out she was coming on until after I left the house. So I had my husband bring some stuff, and it wasn't all in there.
But you did perfect anyway. Like, the recommendation is perfect.
Okay. The one thing I wanted to ask was, the only 2 things that I can think of that are lower fat and higher protein are the fish and the shrimp and the chicken. Is there anything else that anyone else knows of or could think of that's more lower fat and higher protein?
Yeah, so any cut of meat that has the word loin in it, L-O-I-N, is going to be a leaner cut of that meat. So like pork loin, tenderloin, any of those cuts will be leaner than things, like ribeye, for example, is a fatty cut. Pork butt, pork shoulder, those are going to be fattier cuts. Like chicken legs and chicken thighs are going to be fattier than chicken breasts.
Okay.
Kind of just thinking
I-
about the whole diet
I use,
mentality.
when the ribeye is too much fat, I use New York strip as a leaner
Yeah.
cut.
Yeah, strip is another good one that's lean.
She was using a lot of cheese. When she would get a little bit hungry, she would use cheese. So I suggested she look for a lower fat cheese.
Uh,
And
yeah, it sounds like she was snacking though too. Does it sound like she was snacking?
no, she was kind of like she's eating like 1 meal a day, 1 to 2 meals a day. And she's not really hungry, but she was using cheese as kind of a, what did she call it? Lunch and dinner. She had, I don't remember what she called it. I didn't write it down. But that day she had 19 grams of fat in her cheese, and she's only eating 62 grams of fat. So it was like she had a third of it in her cheese.
Well, yeah. So just for a note for you guys, 60 grams of fat in a day is pretty much on the lowest end of what you're going to be able to eat on keto.
Okay.
So you did right. Like always the first thing is to make sure they're following all 10 rules of phase 1. And so the tracking is key. So basically it sounds like she wasn't even eating her minimum protein. If she's only eating 1 meal a day, she's only eating 60 grams of fat, and she's getting that from cheese, she probably was only getting 40 grams of protein or something.
No, she was getting, most days she's getting 60 to 75. That particular day she had 35, 36.
Yeah,
So she was
way too low.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's got that the weight loss troubleshooting thing. The first step is, first thing is to make sure she's following 10 rules. So
yeah, and she asked me about that, and I forgot some of them, and I didn't have another paper I didn't have with me. So yeah, that was another fail. I felt like I failed on several different things.
Here's the thing. Remember, they need to be the expert. Okay, so they're the expert, so they should know the 10 rules. And
she could remember them.
Directing her to where they are. Do you know where they are? They're in the phase 1. When's the last time you used them? Could you print them out? Make sure. Because here's the thing: people, once they get going a few weeks in, or even longer, they forget what those 10 rules are. Because I bet all of you couldn't name all 10 of them. The other day on one of the coaching calls, I struggled to name all 10 of them. So if you don't have them in front of you, so here's something for all of you, is that I wouldn't, when you ask, are you following all 10 rules, I would go further and say, okay, so tell me what they are. Because I bet they aren't. They're like, yeah, I totally am. Okay, what are they? And it probably would be good for each of you to have, like, on your coaching call for reference, the cheat sheet that has all 10 rules, and then also that weight loss troubleshooting guide. Those would be some good resources for you. And then the outline for the laser coaching call itself. Those might be your toolkit or your triage kit for your calls, just as a backup. So make sure they actually go through all 10 rules, and make sure they really are following. So for example, if she's only eating 35 grams of protein one day, she's not actually even follow the meal formula. Okay, so she wasn't tracking, she's not following the meal formula. So those would be the baseline first things that you would want to go back to. So you caught the not tracking part too. So if she wasn't tracking, how does she even know how much protein and fat she was eating?
She had just started tracking again the day I called, the day we had the call.
Okay.
So she was going to, start tracking again.
Yeah.
I asked her about the rules, and she said she hadn't looked at them recently, and she was going to. I gave her a couple of them that I could remember. It's
Mhm.
terrible. And she said she was going to go back and she was going to go read through them again. And I
Okay.
told her to go back to her whys and the usual stuff, but that really didn't. And that really wasn't what the problem was, or what the issue was the whys, because she still wants to do it, just those last couple pounds, which are difficult for everybody.
Yeah.
So I did try to get the 10 in there. She didn't have it with her and I didn't have it with me, so we were just kind of.
Yeah, and it might have been, homework can be as simple as finding the 10 rules and printing it out and make sure you're following all, and then we check in next week and that you follow them all.
Okay.
Yeah, because remember, on these calls, you're really trying to find the one thing that they need to change to get back on track.
Carol, that weight loss guide thing, did you put that in the Keto Carol site?
I asked
Yes.
Latif to upload it there, but
Oh.
let me check in with her because she did come back to get out of the hospital last week. So
It's on Facebook, Penny, in the regular group.
I saw it on Facebook. I just didn't know if it was also in the other.
I'll
I
put it on
didn't look in the other.
I have a meeting in about an hour and a half, and so I'll make sure she puts it up there and there.
Okay. But I really like the idea of having the 10 rules at hand when we're on a call, because I'd never even thought of that. And I wanted to also print the weight loss guide thing, so I wanted to have it handy.
Yeah.
And then this may be a weird question, but so I know our macros are sort of set for us. They vary from people to people or whatever, right? But is there a rough number? Like you just said, 60 is too low for fat. And I'm looking at my fat. It's 80 is what my chronometer is set to.
Let me give you, that's great. I'm just adding a note because I'm going to make up a macros cheat sheet for you guys.
Because that might be good since we all maybe have a little different, but.
Yeah, let me tell you how I set them for people. It's pretty easy. So everybody's getting, 20 total grams or less per day. That's the maximum. Everyone gets that. The protein range, I start everyone out at, they need a minimum of 60. Every single person needs a minimum of 60 grams of protein per day. The upper limit, I tend to set at whatever their current weight is. It's nearly impossible to get that much protein for anyone. When I've done the super high protein, low fat, sprints, little protein fasting, 180 grams is the most I can get in a day, and that's using protein powders, a couple of scoops of protein powder as well. So, for example, so if somebody comes in and they're, over 200 to start with, I set their maximum protein at their current weight, but it's virtually impossible to eat that much protein. So keep that in mind. Whatever their current weight is their max protein. And so that's one of the things you want to watch is people are getting a minimum of 60. If their weight is stalled and they're following all 10 rules, bumping it up to a minimum of 80 grams of protein would be one of the next options. As long as, the weight loss troubleshooting thing, I give you 3 options there, reducing the number of times they're eating per day or per week, increasing protein by 20 grams per day, over wherever you're at. So for example, if they're already getting 80 per day, you could bump it up to trying to get 100 per day. But most people, especially women, tend to undereat protein. So, and then the third one is then decreasing fat. And so the fat also, I set a minimum of 60 grams of fat. It's pretty hard to go below that and stick with any, version of keto, even if you're adding 0 fat to your meals. just naturally occurring fat in the stuff that we're eating is going to get you at that 60 pretty easily. And maximum fat, you know, typically I set that somewhere around, you know, where they're also what their body weight is, but that's also an upper limit. That pretty quickly, you know, most people are not going to eat more than, you know, 2 or 3 tablespoons added per meal. And that's, oh, I'm looking for my phone to do the math on that. Fat is somewhere between 11 and 14 grams per tablespoon. And so if we're doing, if people are doing 3 added per 3 meal, what's the math? 3 times 3 times 14, what is that? Who's got a calculator? How many grams of fat is that?
90.
Okay, yeah, so see, even if somebody's doing the upper limit of fat added 2 meals, they're still gonna be, and if we're counting fat that's in food, they may get to around, you know, 150 or 200 or something like that.
And so when we're troubleshooting with them, they could decrease their fat, but not, I mean, most people probably could just go back to 60 or something and be.
Well, to limit it to only 60 also is pretty challenging.
So
First,
really going lower fat, then you're talking 80, 90 or something, right?
yeah. So, but first, first check their protein, right? So make sure they're getting every single day 60 or more. Oftentimes, like with what Karen found with April, you know, one of the days I only had 35. So making sure, because what happens is the appetite goes down, people eat less, and April's at this place where she's maybe eating 1 or 2 times a day, and she isn't actually being very conscientious about what she's eating. So she's still eating keto-friendly foods, she's not tracking, but she's not actually eating enough protein. So while it's not true that, if you undereat, you won't lose weight, if you undereat protein, your body will slow down. And so increasing protein, even though you're increasing the calories you're eating, it speeds up your metabolism quite a bit. So the client that I'm working with right now, GD one-on-one, he's a hard case because he wants to just eat as little as possible because he wants to lose as fast as possible. And I had to just keep explaining to him, like, if you're only going to eat 600 calories a day and you want to eat nothing, like, you're not going to be able to keep this off, and your metabolism is going to slow down. You're going to lose all your lean body mass. It's a disaster waiting to happen. And so I had him finally last week. I just, you know, kind of beat it in him, like, you've got to get more protein in. You've got to eat more protein. And so he upped his protein. So even though he's eating more food, more calories, he finally got the scale to drop because he increased his protein. So it just, protein is it's not that it's hard to digest, it's just energy intensive to digest in our body and to process and make all the stuff out of it. So it actually burns more calories when you eat more protein. Think about a building, you know, when somebody there, let's imagine like a construction site where they're building a new building. If you're short on lumber, let's imagine it's a wood house, I don't know why, but if you're short on lumber, the workers are going to be just sitting around and not doing much, okay? And if you get a big shipment of lumber in, the protein, the workers are going to be working really hard at building up the next stuff. So that's what's happening in your body, is that all that protein, your body's like, oh man, we can make stuff now. We can build up and fortify and heal and repair all the stuff that we haven't been healing. And so that's what happens when you increase your protein, and part of why it speeds up the metabolism. So yeah. And let me just back up too and say, Karen, congratulations for taking the bullet and doing this very first one. I'm so proud of you. You did great. I hope that you get the spirit of trying to help, and I'm not you know, you did fantastic. First one, and I know that you were probably terrified going into it, and you did great. I mean, you intuitively knew exactly what she needed to have do. So good work.
Thank you.
I had to laugh that the one who was the most nervous about it among us got the first one. That was pretty, whatever.
Way to go, Karen. Way to
Yeah,
go.
nice job.
April was really easy. She was very kind. She was very easy. So that was a good one to start with. My other person is Karen S., who's going to be a little difficult. So April was a good one to start with.
Well, and keep in mind, like, you know, especially one-on-one, all these people are going to be like just kind and nice and sweet. I mean, they know you guys are in training on this, but also just they're really good people. And so they're not going to be, you know, difficult or hard on purpose. You know, the practice sessions that we've done will feel much more difficult cases than the people that you're going to actually be working with. So do you have one next scheduled for Sharon or Karen? Yes?
No, she hasn't contacted me yet.
Okay. Yeah, I was surprised at how many people we had that were wanted that, and so far only one person. Does anybody else have anyone else scheduled? Okay, I'll have Leticia send another email reminder for people, and specifically the ones that.
Carole, I was writing notes as you were saying that, and you got involved in the protein and how it works. You said first check the protein, and if protein is high enough, then you look to make sure they're not real high fat protein?
Well, yeah, assuming they're following all 10 rules, if they're getting at least 60 grams of protein. So the three choices are, you know, on that weight loss troubleshooting guide, basically like if they're following all 10 rules, weight has been stable for 2 or more weeks, you end up at a point where you have 3 choices. Okay, and this is basically, you can propose these to the client, say which one of these you're willing to do. Reduce the number of times per day they're eating or per week, right? So if they're still eating snacks, maybe going down to 2, maybe considering a 24-hour fast 1 day a week. That's one option. If they're eating at least 60 grams of protein every single day, which means, you know, check the box for following all 10 rules. The next one of the other options is to increase protein by 20 grams. So get 20 more, get 80 grams minimum per day. The third option is to reduce fat. Okay, so this is at multiple places. Looking at, I think I actually got a spot though. It's already like cutting out fat that they're drinking. Reduce the number of added tablespoons of fat per meal would be, you know, another option. That's going to take you far enough because you don't need to worry about like how many grams of fat they're actually eating. That's going to be a place to cut back the number of added fat tablespoons per meal. And you might get, like, if they're only adding 1 tablespoon per meal, you might even go, okay, how about a teaspoon of added fat per meal instead? Or, you know, do you need the added fat? Could you just have just the meat and veg that you're having without any fat? So
Thank you.
Yeah, typically you don't have to go so far as like, you know, if, you know, the final phase may be like, okay, the protein fasting, which we haven't talked too much about, which is actually even more intensive. Like, okay, so this is where you're going to switch to fish and seafood, and you know, typically you're going to have to cut out cheese because it's going to be higher fat and all that kind of stuff. But that's an even more advanced. Okay, so this is like just kind of basic troubleshooting. The next advanced things then would be like an egg fast or a protein fast is what I call it. Yeah, any other, and then Karen, did you actually follow, so tell us about like what the specific homework was that she had to do before she can schedule the next.
She's going to continue to track. She's going to increase her protein. She's going to try and lower her fat. And she's going to read her 10 rules again.
Okay. And did you get like a specific, so when you're increasing things and decreasing things, you always want to have a specific number.
I told her, I wasn't sure about the 20, so I told her to increase it 10 grams.
Okay, cool. Okay.
So now, you know, I can go higher.
Yeah.
And I told she's going to stop doing. She was doing extra fat at each meal, and I told her to stop doing that also. Which then is going to put her under 60 grams. So I'm going to have to next time. I'm going to have her make sure that she's doing 60 grams.
Well, well, you don't ever need to make sure they're getting 60 because it's almost impossible to go below that, unless somebody's just eating protein powder all day long. So they shouldn't be doing that on this program anyways. But yeah, and you know, next time, like, and the thing is since she hasn't really been tracking, she's just guessing about what she's been eating. You know, so she had one day of information that showed she was only eating 35 grams of protein.
Right.
So likely she didn't need to increase her protein. She needed to just go back to basics, was what she needed. So, and again, for you know, for next time and everyone else, just, you know, picking one of those things is all that she would need to do. You know, so tracking so she has a baseline of what she was actually eating would be important, right? Because we don't even know. You know, she thinks like, well, yeah, I mostly get that much protein. No idea. So having that baseline information. So tracking and increasing protein and decreasing fat and all that kind of stuff was probably a lot more. But I'm gonna also say that she probably got really good results this week too.
I hope so.
Yeah.
So even though she's tracking, having her raise the protein in her tracking is not like it's not like a one kind of thing?
Well, no, because we don't even know how much protein she's eating right now. So how can she increase her protein if we don't even know what the baseline was?
Okay.
Increase from what?
Okay. All right. So we'll have more information this next week then.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you'll know really fast if she did track. I mean, once you say, tell me what your average protein was over those 7 days or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Can you see her tracker? Do you need her permission to look at it?
I was going to say I can look at it right now.
Yeah.
No, I don't see. That's while people are, all of you have this as well. That it's not logging me in. All of you are under my umbrella, so I can go look at any time.
Has she been tracking?
It's still loading. Let me look.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Let's see. Let's see. She tracked Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and that's it.
So she missed yesterday.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, so Thursday she had 35 grams of protein.
Yeah, that's
Friday,
what she said.
Friday she had 36 grams of protein. What day did you talk to her?
I talked to her on Thursday, I think.
And then on Saturday she ate, the only thing entered in here is a high carb food that's not on plan. So
Oh, okay. So she's not doing well there. That could be why. Okay.
well, and again, what day did you talk to her?
It was the 3rd. I'm looking at it here. So what was the 3rd?
Thursday. Okay. So so even on Friday she didn't. So it might be okay. So she. This was the other thing I thought might happen is that if you give people too many things to do, they usually don't do them.
Okay.
Yeah. And so this is where here's some options for you. Which one of these sounds good to you? And then get her to commit to that one. And then that's a small enough, easy thing for people to do that they're much more likely to actually do it.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, you want it to be their choice. They're picking it. Yeah, that was my other fear, was that if we give somebody too many things they have to do all at once, then they go, whoops, I didn't do all of them. I'll start over tomorrow trying to do all of them.
Okay.
Yeah, so really for her, tracking, number one, and then getting a minimum amount of protein is going to be. So if you talk to her next, that would be what I would suggest. But also, basically she's not following the 10 rules. And so you might say, next time chatting with her, having a copy of that and saying, okay, going through each of those, like which one of these,
Okay.
are you ready to fully? Because she may be like, I don't know about tracking, but I can try to I'll work on getting more protein or something, right? So,
Okay.
and again, it might surprise you too. Like she might pick something else. Well, really, it is because I need to get in touch with my whys more. So.
Okay.
It's all learning.
Yeah, no, this is great.
Anyone have any other questions or comments or thoughts or?
I just wanted to ask, so I'm probably in the same boat April is. And at what point do we change our macros ever? Like I haven't been tracking, but like I said before, I'm back and forth. So I know something is off, but do we have to change those macros? Do we lower them at all?
So the changes to the macros are just what I was explaining, where it's like, okay, so if you're following all 10 rules first, that's the first thing you start with. If you're following all that and your weight has been at the same for more than 2 weeks, then the change in macros comes in, okay, so you're getting at least 60 grams of protein per day. We want to up you to 80 grams.
Right.
Okay, so there's where the changes come. Reducing the added fat is also another one. So that would be another change to the macros. The 20 grams of carbs don't ever change.
Okay. I didn't know if the numbers changed differently aside from that. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, well, that's how they change. But but you absolutely, like, without tracking, it's really hard to know like what's even really happening. And it also, research shows over and over and over again, when people actually track what they're doing, they make better choices. They actually eat less. And also, when we're not tracking, we underestimate how much we're eating. And also, it's essential baseline information. How do we know what to change if we don't know what's actually happening, right? So April was telling Karen, oh yeah, I'm getting 60 grams of protein a day, but I can see from the 2 days she did track, she's only getting 35 grams of protein a day. So you think like, oh, I'm getting plenty of protein, but unless you're actually tracking it, you might be surprised to find out like, oh, you might. So for you, Carmen, you might still be only getting like 50 grams of protein a day. And just making that one little adjustment of more protein makes a huge difference.
Makes sense.
Yeah, for Cindy, it was a different kind of tracking, and just probably what seemed like a little tiny bit less cream per day resulted in over 2 pounds change on the scale.
Awesome. Good job, Cindy.
Can you tell me more about I must have dropped or not heard that part about the STAR system. I didn't really catch that.
That was just in last week's little practice coaching session, where Sharon just said to me, why don't you give yourself a star when you do well for a day? And so for me, the combination of, back to tracking, cutting back the cream for real, and then giving myself a star when I did it was just enough incentive to try to, not give in to one of those. And some of mine had also been, I was eating phase 2 foods instead of back to phase 1. So for me, there was a few things more than just the cream that I stopped doing. But it was amazing how much just the self-reward of getting to like draw a star in my calendar was good for me. But I'm like that. I'm kind of like that.
Yes, we're both upholders, right?
Yeah, and that's what that was. The other thing that I did after we talked was I set a goal for myself of 19 days. Like, I'm going to do this for 19 days. And that was because I have a thing on the 19th where I'm speaking in front of like 300 women. So it's like, that's not a bad goal to have. Is like, can I do this back to the basics for 19 days. And that seems to have made it psychologically easier. It's not for the rest of my life, it's for right now, the 19 days. So those things ended up working for me altogether.
Your brain always likes that too. Like, well, we're doing it for this period of time. We'll decide later if it's forever. So
Yeah.
Can I just ask a question tagging on to what Cindy said? So when do you flip back from your phase 2 to your phase 1?
I did it when I got stuck and started going up.
So is that what we would recommend as well, I guess? Carole?
yeah, that's in the basically that's the the weight loss troubleshooting guide, and following all 10 rules basically means following phase 1, right?
Okay.
So if people aren't seeing the weight loss results that they want, then go back to basics, follow phase 1, all 10 rules is the first thing to do always.
And then how long would you be suggesting that they do that?
Well, then the troubleshooting guide shows that if the weight is stable for, stuck for more than 2 weeks, then that's where you follow the rest of the guide.
Right, but when do you flip back to your phase 2 kind of thing? So if you were in phase 2, you went back to your basics, and then
I recommend, as long as people want to still see weight loss, fat loss, to keep following phase 1.
okay.
Anytime you do anything in phase 2, it's only going to slow down your weight loss.
Mm.
So that ends up being a personal decision, right? We don't get to decide. That's every person's decision. Like, maybe they want to have more recipes and add sweeteners in at the point, and they're okay with slower weight loss or being where they're at for a while. That's totally okay. So when they're reaching out to us and saying, the scale's stuck, what do I do? Then our guidance is, first step is always go back to phase 1.
Okay, I'm writing notes.
Our plan of checking in on the other the coaching calls is we've spent a lot of time talking over a real one, which is great. So anything else about the Karen's call, and then we can let any of you that have to go out here, and for anyone that has a little bit more time, we can kind of check in on the other coaching stuff that happened too. So
Yep.
I
need to
wanted
run.
to. Bye, Sharon.
See you guys. Good job, Karen. So proud of you. Good job, Cindy. Keep up the work.
Yes.
12 days left. You got it?
Yeah.
Awesome. Talk to you guys next week.
bye,
Bye-bye.
Sharon.
Bye.
Good job.
I wanted to ask about Carson. I've had nothing.
Yeah, and I haven't heard anything from him either. So there was some miscommunication that Leticia hadn't been sending out the weekly reminders to get people to sign up for the coaching calls, and then last week she was sending them out to people that didn't necessarily need them, and so her and I are going to check in on that again. But so those are going out, but so I don't know either, Penny. Right. Let's see. You did the Karen and let's see. So we kind of checked in because the other coaching we had was Sharon coaching Cindy, and we kind of had a check in on that. And Penny just asked about the star system too, which was great. See, and that's such a great example. So this is the star system was just something that Sharon just intuitively suggested to Cindy, and it turns out that's exactly what would resonate with her. So all of you always trust that, like, if you've got something coming up during a coaching call that seems like off the wall, like that is just an idea that pops in your head, trust that that's an intuitive thing that person needs to hear. So I find, whenever something like that just feels like it just randomly pops in my head, I share it with them and say, I don't know if this is something that sounds good to you, but I just thought of this. What do you think of this? And oftentimes it is exactly what they need, because we've never on any of our practice calls talked about a star or anything like that. And Sharon just came up with that, for Cindy, said, how about a star in your calendar or something? And Cindy was like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what works for me. So it was so great. And Karen, you did exactly the same thing, that you felt like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to say, but you knew the exact things that she needed.
And I think the other thing I'd add was, another thought that I had during the week was, I don't want to have to tell Sharon that I didn't do this, or that I failed or whatever. And so I just think that is a helpful thing for us to remember, that person that spends 15 minutes with us or whatever is thinking about us, holding them accountable at some level, at least even in saying, well, how'd it go? And so I think that's where the downside would be, like, if you have a next session with them and you don't bring up what the homework was, then if they did it, that's not fair to them. So I do think we owe it to them to remember, hey, last time we talked about you getting back on track and having stars. It's a kind thing to do, to ask them, how'd you do? And it sets it up for next time that they'll do that you all agree on. So it was just weird how, like I said, if I thought about having, a glass of wine, I was like, wouldn't get a star, and I don't want to have to tell Sharon that I did that.
Yeah.
So, and it wasn't even real coaching. I mean, so.
It was real coaching.
Well, I mean, it helps me think as a coach just to stay real consistent with people and really pick up where you left off.
Yeah, that reminds me. So I put it on the notes for next week. So unfortunately, since I'm on my phone and my laptop, I can't do a screen share here for you guys. But next week, I'll show you how to go into Airtable and add these notes, because we want to make sure that every time you do a coaching call with somebody, you're adding the notes in there. So just verbally, I can tell you in Airtable, if you hover your mouse next to the person's first name on the left-hand side, there you see a little blue circle that has a couple of arrows in it show up. If you click on that, it opens up a new window, and then in there's a notes section. If you scroll down for that person, there's a coaching notes box. And so the format of how I've been adding them in is I put a date, I put the notes after that about what that coaching call is about. I usually write, for the people that I've been doing the laser coaching with, I'll say homework, and I'll put 1, and I'll put that, whatever the different homeworks are, I'll put that in there. So that way you remember for next time. You don't have to try to remember everything about everybody. And also, if for whatever reason somebody else picks up the next session with them, they'll know exactly what they need to check in with them on. And so go ahead and if you can't figure out how to do that, Karen, let me know. But also next week when I'm back home on my computer, I'll do a screen share and walk you guys through how to do that too. So, and actually, you know what I can do though is I can do a video. I'll do that later today. I'll do a video tutorial I can capture it on my my laptop, and then you guys can look at that and see how to add that in there. So then hopefully that'll help you, Karen, to add those notes in there for her. Because really it's going to be best, everyone, if you're getting notes about any of the people you work with, for privacy laws, you want to make sure that you just put the person's initials on the paper if you're writing any handwritten notes about somebody. This for you all specifically. So put their initials, a date, and best actually just to put it in the Airtable. That way that's a safe, secure spot for that. For privacy, we wouldn't want, like, if you had your notebook and you left it in a park or something like that, and you've got the person's full name, we don't want anybody to ever find those things. And so if you do end up with any paper notes on somebody, just initials, and then ideally shred them after you put it into Airtable. I typically on the call will put it right into Airtable, and then I'm done, and it doesn't take me any extra time after the call either. So, and then that way I can even repeat back to them. Okay, so you've agreed to, I'm writing it down right now. All about time efficiency, so you don't end up spending hours writing notes later. And also in the moment, you're going to remember much better than later on. You're like, oh, wait a minute, what did we say about that? So
The notes, should they include what the issue was and then what we discussed, or just what we discussed?
Yeah, just the basics, information that somebody else would need if they picked up after you. I would say that. But also, I mean, it serves for to remind yourself next time as well. But yeah, if you think about it from that point, is like, if anyone else were to read this note, what do they need to know to pick up the next session with this person? Whatever you feel is relevant in there is fine, yeah.
Carol, I have to run. I've got people waiting for me.
Okay.
I just wanted to let you know that my aha is to make sure I have the 10 rules at my hand when I talk to someone.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
I'll put in
Bye, Penny.
like a coaching
All right.
or something, yeah.
All right, great. Thanks. Bye. Have a good week.
Enjoy the sun. All right, anything else before we wrap up? Carmen, would you like to have a real life practice session with one of our coaches, either Cindy, Penny, or Sharon, so they can practice on the conference call, and that will help you, because I know you're saying you're kind of frustrated with. Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, I'm muted because of the dog. Yeah, no, for sure. I'll do it, sure.
Okay. So did you get a copy of the email that I sent out that said, you know, here, because I sent everyone a copy of the email I sent to everyone else about, like, here's how to schedule the laser coaching. That was last week sometime.
What would the title be? Because I don't remember one.
Copy of coaching call.
Copy of laser coaching call Monday. Yes, I did. And
Yeah,
it is.
so inside there's a link. Just pick, I'll just suggest not to pick Karen since she's already got one under her belt. So pick either Cindy, Penny, or Sharon on there, and then whatever, if you click on that link, then it'll just take you to schedule that. And then in that email, there's a coupon code that you can get, you know, so you don't have to pay for that session.
Okay, so I should do that. Okay.
Yeah. That'll help them practice. It'll help you, and
Okay. So we're just going to do a practice session now, though, correct?
well, not right now. We're gonna wrap this up right now because I think everybody's got to get going. And, yeah. And but if you schedule through that link, then you'll get at another time that's, you know, that works for both you guys.
Yeah, no problem.
Just the two of you. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Anything else? Any other thoughts, comments?
No. Very informative today, because the whole protein thing was really a big part of it that we need to know. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a pretty natural thing that as people's appetite go down, like our brains still crave carbs, and we don't always crave protein, and so it's easy to like not want to eat the protein part.
Yes.
So that, you know, it's as common over time that especially as women, like the protein intake goes down. So, but it should make sure it goes back up.
Yes, and that was my aha too, was just talking about the macros and understanding that range. So I think that's going to be helpful to me for myself and others. Sorry.
All right. And Karen, your aha, and then we'll wrap this up.
My aha was pretty much the entire call. It was really good to get input on the things that I had done and hadn't done and all of that. So it was a really good follow-up to my call, I guess. A lot of good little bits of information that I can use with her again and anyone else. So yeah, the call was basically my aha.
Yeah. And you seem really confident and calm and yeah. So did the call, even though you felt a little lost on the call, did it feel really good to do it, get it done and check that box?
It did.
Yeah.
I just felt like when she told me that, it was the last 5 pounds, I'm like, oh God, I can't relate to this. We've never practiced this. I was like, okay.
Yeah, but it was the same. You did it. Yeah.
I felt pretty good when I finished it, I guess. Yeah, I guess not super confident, but I guess I felt pretty good.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, I can sense that about you. It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, doing this, I think, is going to just be so great. One more thing for even more confidence for you. And yeah.
I'm curious to see when she schedules the next one. And since we know that up to now, she hasn't really tracked and what she's going to say about that when she, when I check in with her again and see.
No, what I would suggest is just kind of, send her an email and saying, let's get you scheduled for another call. I know we had some tech problems. I'll make sure when I talk to Leticia a little bit that she schedule a practice one with you guys so that you can figure it out. Reach out to her, let her know. Let's have a do-over. Tech problems. Little Birdie or Carole let me know that maybe haven't been tracking. So let's just have a restart and I want to help you get the success that you want and see if she's interested, because you might be actually. Sometimes when people haven't followed through, they're embarrassed, and so they don't want to talk to you. She's probably not going to reach out to you.
Okay.
And so just let her know that it's it's okay, and you want to would she be interested in a do-over or something? So.
Okay. Okay. So I can tell her that you looked at her track.
Yeah, let her know. Well, I mean, it's up to you, right? Because I don't, it's like white lie by omission if you don't tell her that I told you that. But you with the best of intentions, you could just let her know, like, let's do a redo or something like that. Not include the other part. It's up to you, right? You could.
Okay. I just feel like that's kind of big brotherish. I mean, we're checking on her and kind of that kind of thing. I don't know.
I would like that.
You would?
I would.
Okay.
Absolutely. If I was struggling and I was told that someone checked on me, I would like it.
Okay.
Yeah,
it would show that you care.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's actually the place you're coming from, is that you care about her getting the results you want. So.
Okay. Okay. All right, I can do that.
Yeah, because you're not like April. You didn't track. You're not gonna have that tone or anything. So it's purely compassionate. Yeah. So.
Okay. All right. I'll get a hold of her and we'll see what she wants to do, or see if we can do another one.
Well, good work, ladies.
Thank you.
Today. So I'll set up a little toolkit for you guys in the peer coaches corner. So you guys have that program that's on the member site. So that's where the recordings of these calls go. But I'll set up like a little a module in there that's like your laser coaching call toolkit, and I'll put the weight loss troubleshooting guide. I'll put the outline of the laser coaching in there, and then the 10 rules. So you guys will have that right there in one spot.
Sounds good. Thank you.
I guess I'll add the video too about how to add the notes into Airtable too. So yeah, 4 things. Okay. All right. Have a great week. Good work,
Okay.
everyone.
Bye.
Karen.
Bye. Bye.